about 110 miles an hour right now going to the next turn. Big sweeper. Caution, handicapped driver. Yeah, I never thought I'd be going this fast in a manual transmission car going around Willow Springs Raceway. This is just unbelievable. I mean, it allows you, these hand controls allow you to do stuff that you never thought you'd be able to do again.
I had a car that I couldn't drive any longer. So I searched and I searched for a way to be able to drive. It was a 5-speed. And nobody was very much help at all. So after some search on the internet, I found this company in Italy. Off to Italy I go. I made a deal with the Italian company and brought it over here, did my car, talked to lots and lots of people. And it turns out I'm not the only person in this situation.
I'm sponsored by Ford Truck Motorsports. Recently won the Best in the Desert Class 3000 championship last year. You get out of the hospital, you have a manual transmission car, it's like the first thing they say is you have to get rid of that car and get an automatic transmission. And now, you know, you don't have to do that. You have an option. You can drive, you can keep your stick shift Corvette and keep it and drive it. You know, with Daniel's system, you can do it. We call it a duck bill. This is the clutch, the hand clutch. So we're going to put that in, put it in reverse. On my left hand, up here on the steering wheel, you've got the throttle. This is the throttle ring behind the steering wheel. When you squeeze it in, it applies the throttle, just like when you press down with your foot pedal, with your foot.
These hand controls are completely different from hand controls being sold on other cars. There's a ring that accelerates the car. The handbrake is on the right instead of the left, which is normal for MPS systems. And there's a servo that drives the clutch, so you can drive 5-speed.
The Ready Autosport, you can drive with a stick shift. There are people who don't want to do what everybody else does, and they want to be able to play a little bit when they drive. So I think it's an awesome choice.
In '74, I got hurt racing a motorcycle, and then a year later became the first paraplegic to race the Baja 1000. And so it's been kind of neat to see other people in chairs start racing motorsports, and you kind of pave them the way, and it's like you can do it.
We're bringing out a series of cars that are already modified and we want to offer to consumers. For example, the Mazda Miata, the Ford GT, and we're making this this is the Lance Megan Signature Series car.
When I first got hurt, I went home and didn't have hand controls and just used a golf club or a baseball bat or tennis racket, whatever was handy, you know. But, you know, you got to do whatever works. And what's neat about this system, it's just, you know, it works. And a lot of people think that they can't drive a stick shift because it's got a clutch, because they're unaware of the Guido Simplex system. If they're more aware of it, they would say, hey, I can do that. The steering wheel throttle ring turns with you, so you don't have to reposition your hands. And then the shifter, you've got a clutch lever on the shifter itself that you shift with. I could be competitive with able-bodied drivers driving using this system. I was able to catch the Corvette around the turns, and the straightaways he'd pull away, but then I'd catch him back up in the turns. So that was just, I mean, talk about awesome. That was awesome.
I think driving is a very American thing. That's the American dream, is that everyone has a house and a family and a car. And you are back involved in the world when you drive. You're not stuck. And you start making your own choices, you start exploring the world with this new body that you have, and you can do it on your own time and in your own way. One thing I like to do is go through drive-thrus. I know every single drive-thru in LA.
They're like, what's that apparatus? And that's my hand control, sir. We're like, well, keep your hand out of it. You know how they always say, keep your foot out of it? This one cop told me, keep your hand out of it. You can go. You can give me back my license. That's rare that they don't give me a ticket.
If you can't use your legs, the hand controls become very easy and very natural to learn how to operate. It's not a big issue.
I decided to get these portable hand controls, which I had heard of. They're a little shifty, so it takes a little more practice. I think you have to just be a little more savvy with using hand controls. But you can take them on and off yourself. You can put them on somebody else's car if you want to borrow someone's car, or actually, for one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going on a road trip, and so I want to share the driving, so I'm going to bring my portable hand controls, because we're not taking my car. For a rental car, or if you're buying a new car, you can actually test drive the car, which I was never able to do before. I would have somebody else test drive it. I would sit in the passenger seat. And so this time I can actually get a real feel for the car with the portable hand controls.
There are all kinds of adaptive driving controls out there. There are left foot accelerators. There are some people who've suffered incomplete spinal cord injuries who can use maybe the left leg but not the right, so there are left foot accelerators. There's the Minox hand control, and it has a nice, sporty, clean look. It's fairly recently here from Finland, and it operates by pushing forward for the brake and pulling back for the gas. There's the MPS hand control, which is probably the most common manual style of hand control on the market.
These are MPS hand controls. Push down for the brake, pull down for the gas. So it's a nice design because you can brake and gas at the same time if you need to.
The MPS hand control takes a little bit longer to learn because you can get gas and brake together. And when people are nervous about driving, they tend to apply gas and brake together even though they don't intend to. The Minox hand control, you can only get gas or brake. So it's easier to learn, but in those situations where you're on a hill, you have to be very quick because you want to go quickly from brake to gas. And you have to be very quick to prevent your car from rolling backward.
It's fairly natural. It's, you're just doing everything with your hand instead of your feet. So in some ways, it's like easier to drive than it is to drive conventionally. Except you can't eat a ham sandwich. You can't drink a cup of coffee very well. It limits your driving to just driving is what it does.
Hopefully we can get out there and show people that they can do what they want to do by using these controls.
So even vehicles that I think people assumed we would never drive or never be able to navigate, like a motorcycle, an airplane, there are now hand controls for those as well.
I have flown a plane with hand controls. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
The airplane is a Cessna 177B, also known as a Cardinal. It's a single-engine, 4-seat, kind of a mid-range for that type of aircraft as far as speed and performance. I've always enjoyed flying. I started when I was quite young, when I was 16 years old, and got up to the point of soloing. And then when I was 19 years old, I was injured, and I didn't fly again for quite a while, for maybe 8 or 10 years. The airplanes I was flying in required a lot of assistance to get in and out. So it hadn't really dawned on me that that would be something I could easily do on my own any day conveniently, which was kind of my goal. After a while, I was able to try a Cardinal. It's configured in such a way that it's low enough and there's nothing really in the way for me to be able to transfer right into the airplane. It's very convenient. And once I realized I could actually climb in easily, I wanted one. The way the hand control works is that it is hooked to the pedals, and the hand control comes up to where you can reach it and operate them by hand instead of using your feet. So if you've never flown, you could very easily climb in an airplane with hand controls and learn without ever having done that before. The sense of freedom aviation gives you. Get in that airplane and move around as you wish in all 3 dimensions, anywhere you want to go, anytime. Nothing really like it. It's part of this great country we're in.